Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I'll tell you what, it is early. It has been a while since I've been out on one of these sort of sunrise hikes, and when I was getting ready for bed last night I thought, oh god, I'm going to be struggling in the morning, but I'm feeling great. I'm feeling really good. Perhaps I'm a little bit overtired, I don't know. Before I get into this week's video, I absolutely have to address my extreme gratitude to the donations that I've received via my Ko-fi page. I mentioned at the end of last week's video that I'm trying to save up a little bit of money to do a bit of a trip in Scotland on the Isle of Lewis and Harris, and honestly I'm completely overwhelmed by the support that you guys have given to me through my Ko-fi page. I've had a lot of coffees bought for me. I'm just over 25% of my goal, of my target, from when I last checked, and yeah, I just really wasn't expecting that, and genuinely, you know, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And you know, providing I meet that goal and I'm able to get up to Scotland, you know, there's going to be some fantastic content up there for this YouTube channel, so I'd love to be able to give that back to you guys, you know. But yeah, thank you so much, that's absolutely incredible. So yeah, this week's adventure, I'm hiking up to a fell called Helm Crag, which is a wainwright here in kind of the Central Lakes, kind of overlooks the town of Grasmere and Grasmere itself, which is a smallish mid-sized lake compared to some of the others. And it's a fairly popular fell, but definitely not at this time in the morning, so that's good. So I haven't seen anyone. Chances are I'm going to be up here all on my own. I'm about halfway up Helm Crag now. I'm looking forward to getting to the top, see what awaits us up there, and I've got ages. I'm a little bit early. I think it's still about an hour till the sunrise, but I like getting here early and just, you know, witnessing the sunrise. It's different phases when the sky starts subtly lighting up, and then you start getting that orange glow on the horizon, and of course when the sun comes up and over, fingers crossed, we get some nice colour in the sky. So yes, let's crack on up to Helm Crag. Although fairly modest in height, Helm Crag offers an incredible variety of Lake District delights. The non-threatening path rewards hikers with stunning views to the southeast overlooking the town of Grasmere. Perhaps the most famous of British fellwalkers, Alfred Wainwright, said of this mountain, "Here on the summit of Little Helm Crag, a midget of a mountain, is a remarkable array of rocks, upstanding and fallen, of singular interest and fascinating appearance, that yield a quality of reward out of all proportion to the short and simple climb." Alfred's basically saying that you get a great bang for your buck climbing this fell. Interestingly, however, it's widely known that Helm Crag was the only fell that Mr. Wainwright himself never actually summited. A little bit more about that later. Woohoo! We are getting a sunrise, guys. Oh, absolutely incredible. I mentioned at the start of the video I haven't done a sunrise hike in a good while, and this just makes it all worth it. Get a look at that. That is absolutely gorgeous. I love the Lake District with all my heart. I'm excited to explain this photograph because I think it's going to be awesome, and there's a few really cool elements to it. Firstly, I spent a good couple of hours last night planning this location for the sunrise. I've been lucky with the sunrise. You always need an element of luck, but I wanted to come somewhere where we were going to get a really nice view to the southeast where the sun is rising. So as you're looking there, you're looking pretty much directly into a southeasterly direction, and Helm Crag just really suited. You know, we've got beautiful views over Grasmere, over the lake and the town, and then some of the fells in the background, and of course, providing we were going to get a nice sunrise, which we have, all we pretty much had to do then was find some foreground elements. And one thing that I really like about Helm Crag is that once you get to the top, it's almost a little bit of a plateau. You know, you've got all these rocks to play with, so there's tons of foreground, tons of potential foreground elements, and it's just a case of piecing them together like a jigsaw. Right, composition. Firstly, the dynamic range is mental, so I'm bracketing and I'm taking way too many shots. Complete overkill. I'm taking 7 photographs from a really, really dark exposure to expose for the sky to a really, really bright exposure to expose for the foreground. Just an insurance policy to make sure that the exposure is correct. I do not want to mess this one up. Oh God, the old heart is beating very, very fast. Okay, so ISO 100 f9, and let's talk composition because this is really, really cool. So that prominent rock formation that you can see there, to the locals, it's a really, really famous rock formation. If you know what I'm talking about here, then you already know. If you don't, I honestly believe you're going to love this. That is called the Lion and the Lamb. Now have another look at that prominent rock formation there. On the right hand side you can see the beautiful, gorgeous lion lying down. You can see his back's curved up into his mane and he's just sort of protecting his little mate down there. The little lamb on the left hand side, you can see his head, he's looking up at the sunrise. This is working out fantastically for my photograph. So this photograph will definitely be called the Lion and the Lamb, by the way. Honestly, I'm shaking. This is, whoa, I was not expecting this. So we've got, instead of just pointing my camera straight at the Lion and the Lamb there, what I wanted to do was try and find another foreground element. I felt it just needed one more thing just to complete that jigsaw, and that was another sort of leading line. I wanted something to lead in to the Lion and the Lamb, and I found this little sort of crag here on the right hand side, this sort of crag of rocks that's kind of leaning down to the left. For one, it gives us a nice balance, you know, on the right hand side of the frame to contrast with the Lion and the Lamb, but it's a nice diagonal that leads into that prominent rock formation as well. Oh my goodness. And then of course the background, it's doing the job for us splendidly. So what I'm going to do is probably stand here until the sun rises, to be honest, because this, what are we on? It's like the 3rd of January or something, and this is probably better than any shots I got in 2019, providing it all goes well. So I just want to make sure it's right. So I'm basically just going to keep firing off brackets. Right, I'm going to shut up because I'd say you're dying to see this photograph now. I'll pop it up, guys. This is the Lion and the Lamb. I hope you like it. Unreal, absolutely unreal. When it all works out like this, when it all comes together, there's literally nothing better in the world. Spectacular. The sun's just peeking over the horizon there in the background. It just doesn't get better than this. I'm gonna turn my attention away from the direction of the sunrise now, even though the sun's coming up and it looks stunning. And I'm gonna focus on here over the right shoulder, which is looking over towards Easdale Tarn and actually the Langdale Pikes, which I'm following a lot recently. So it's looking like I'm gonna be photographing them again. And I just think we can make a really, really gorgeous composition here. We've got the tarn itself, we've got the beck that's running down from the tarn, which I suppose I could use as some sort of leading line. And then what I'm gonna wait for is the sun to come up and over a little bit more, and for the light to start kissing them peaks within that sort of bowl that surrounds Easdale Tarn and hopefully the Langdale Pikes as well. So I'm going to wander around this sort of area with the camera, try and find a decent composition. I might even get the old long lens out. I said last week I wanted to do that. Get the tripod set up, and I think if it all comes together again, we'll get another decent photograph. So, in true Lake District fashion, the weather has changed completely in the past 5 to 10 minutes, or at least since I took the last photograph. basically what we had out on the horizon where the sun was rising, we had a sort of clearing where the sun was allowed to shine through, and that's why we were treated to such a beautiful sunrise. But now that the sun's risen a little bit more, it's actually gone behind that bank of high cloud, which means, as you can see behind me there, we haven't got any light. However, fortunately, I managed to grab a shot just as we had some gorgeous morning golden light spilling into that valley there around Easdale town. So I'm absolutely delighted. However, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a composite. Now, before I get into that, I will say, when you make the effort to hike up to somewhere like this, to a fell or a mountain or a ridge or something where you get these gorgeous 360-degree views, don't be ashamed to take a photograph and then just turn your camera 90 degrees and get a completely different photograph, you know. All right, you haven't moved around, it doesn't really matter. You know, you've made the effort to get up to this location. Just point your camera around and get some nice photographs, you know. There's absolutely no shame in it whatsoever. Like I say, you've done all the hard work by coming up here. So that's pretty much exactly all I've done here. I've moved over sort of 20 metres from where I got the first shot. The lion and the lamb is there to your left as you're looking at me. And I've literally just gone 90 degrees to the right. So nothing wrong with it at all. Now, I did mention I'm going to be doing a little bit of a composite here. So I've got the first photograph I managed to capture whilst we still had some light in that valley. But then I decided to take a second photograph with my 6-stop neutral density filter on. And what I'm doing is I'm actually doing it purely just for the sky. I wanted a long exposure effect in that sky. You can see there above Harrison Stickle and the Langdale Pikes, and above that valley we've got some sort of dark grey, almost stormy-ish clouds, and I wanted to capture the movement in them, and that's exactly why I stuck the 6-stop ND in. So the ND was actually giving me a 3-minute exposure, and we're getting some quite high wind gusts every now and again up here. So with a 3-minute exposure, because they're quite fast moving, the clouds, it means that it's given us that really, really nice long exposure effect, which I'm craving. So I'm going to merge them two photographs together, so we get the light in the valley merged together with the beautiful long exposure stormy sky as well. So I think that's going to look awesome. So I'll pop that one up for you guys to see in a sec. And I think I'm going to stick around. The plan, to be honest, was to come up here, grab a sunrise shot, and go back down the same way, back to the car and go home. But I'm just having such a good time that I want to stay. So I'm going to head that way and go do a little bit of a loop track back round to the car, back round to Grasmere where I'm parked, and just see what else I can find. I'd like to get another photograph. So I hope you like this image, and I hope it conveys a sense of how variable the weather is here in the Lake District. And you know, I'm really hoping them two photographs come across quite differently. I hope that you like it. Now, earlier on, I mentioned how Mr. Alfred Wainwright never actually summited Helm Crag. And that's because the true summit actually lies here, atop this rock named the Howitzer, for apparently it resembles some sort of cannon. After not fancying the scramble up myself, I decided to bypass the true summit and head in search of another image elsewhere. So that was a really little pleasant hike down from Helm Crag. I'm quite near the bottom now, and I've probably done about half of the loop track, but you can see we found this gorgeous little valley here really, and most importantly you can see that the light has returned. However, it's getting on for about 10 AM now, so that light is fairly harsh. But one thing that I always try and say on this channel is that in the winter that light is nowhere near as harsh as it would be in the summer, you know, when you're getting on towards the middle of the daylight or whatever. In the summer, the sun is right above us and it's glaring down and it's just difficult to work with. Whereas here in the winter, the sun's really low in the sky, so we're still getting that, you know, really, really nice side light. So it's definitely workable with. So I'm going to try and do just that. And you can probably see behind me there's this gorgeous series of waterfalls and just generally a really, really nice scene. We've got some trees on the left-hand side, loads of nice craggy rocks. We've got all those beautiful ferns which turn that gorgeous sort of rusty colour in the winter. Dry stone walls. It looks like there's a lot of potential over there. And you'll probably remember when I was up on Helm Crag, I mentioned I wanted to get another image, and I mentioned I'd like to try and maybe get something intimate. I think that would be really cool, because then I'll have a kind of trio of images that are all quite different. You know, it'll be a nice bit of variety for the day. So come over here with me now and let's see if we can find a third image.
Seems like forever since we've been together. Oh God, I miss you bad, and I read your letters and look at your pictures. Oh God, I miss you.
So you're joining me now after a little bit of a panic. I'm happy to admit that, I've had a little bit of a panic, but I think all has worked out well. So, when I last spoke, oh God, you heard me, I was talking about these waterfalls behind me here, and that's kind of what I'd envisaged that I was going to photograph once I got down here. The closer that I got, the better the waterfalls looked. So obviously they got bigger and bigger when I got there, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. So I was completely focused on the waterfalls. I was trying to think, should I shoot wide? Should I get my long lens out and focus in on something on the waterfall? And then I turned around and we just had, sometimes the composition just finds you. We just had this incredible scene and I completely forgot about the waterfalls and I wanted to shoot this. Now, admittedly, the light's not quite as good as it was just earlier on, but I had to prioritize getting the photograph because I think it's going to be quite good. But this is awesome. We've got this, obviously I've got my tripod, you can see set up here, a bit of a precarious position whereby I'm trying my best not to fall in or get any of my gear wet. But yeah, we've got this stream here that's acting as the most perfect leading line. We've got all these sort of gorgeous cascades, you can see some of them behind me. And that's kind of what I'm utilising here to make my foreground interesting. And then of course this then just naturally leads down into all these gorgeous rocks and boulders. And then we've got this nice section of trees here, these naked trees. The leaves have been stripped, showing really nice character, really good winter subject, I think. A really nice subtle winter subject, you know, a leafless tree. It's not, we haven't got tons of snow here or anything like that, but that is awesome. One thing I will say, the light did not last long and I'm really glad I got the image. I decided to shoot in portrait because the area of interest was very narrow, perfect for portrait dimension. I didn't need to capture loads on the left and right hand side. It's just a valley like this, so the more I went out, it was just samey. I didn't need to capture it all. The main interest was here, and shooting in portrait dimension as well, it meant I could get this mountain in the background and a little bit of the sky as well. But honestly, what's really made this photograph is the light that we've got. This beautiful sort of, it's almost like a mixture of backlight and side light because of the direction that it's coming from, but lights up the trees beautifully. And then on the right hand side of the frame we've got this sort of grassy area with all these mounds, and they were all just lit up fantastically. I've bracketed again and I've got some sort of crazy setup going on here. I stuck the 6-stop ND on, and I wanted to tell you about my medium edge ND grad. I never know what that's called. Medium edge ND grad. You can see I've got it tilted here on an angle. It's not something I'd usually do, but it's just because the light's only coming from the top right hand side of my frame. It's coming in from there, and that's allowing me to just darken down that sky and try and get the best exposure as possible. Quite similar to my first image, I am bracketing again. I don't know if I need to, but same as the first shot, just an insurance policy to make sure I'm definitely getting the right exposure. I took a few photographs without the ND filter, all just playing around with seeing how smooth I wanted to get this water. I I took a shot before. The last shot I got was at a 5-second exposure, and it's because this water's really, really fast moving, it's made it really, really silky, and I'm not 100% sure if I like it. Whereas some of the photographs I got a bit earlier on were without the ND filter, and they were around about 1/15th, 1/20th of a second. So in many ways, they were almost freezing the movement of that water, but still capturing a little bit of movement because it's moving so fast. And F9 ISO 100 for both shots if you're interested in the settings. So a little bit of playing around to do in the old editing suite, but yeah, I really, really do think that's another great photograph of the day. What a day of photography, by the way. Absolute class. So I think I've succeeded in my goal of getting 3 completely different photographs for the day in the same location. I shall pop this one up for you guys to see now. I really hope you like it. Well, what an incredible morning I've just had. I'm still absolutely buzzing, by the way. That was a special, special morning. I am exceptionally delighted that I managed to get out of bed this morning. What a sunrise, and then I think 3 cracking little photographs as well. I'm just feeling very happy. Wonderful stuff, landscape photography. I just wanted to mention again, thank you so much for all the donations that I've received on my Ko-fi page. If you would like to donate towards my goal of getting up to the Isle of Harris and Lewis to create some content here on YouTube, I'd be eternally grateful. And yeah, thanks again to everyone that's donated. Massively appreciated. And also my prints are still on sale. I've sold a couple over the past few days. I've got a 20% sale, and I think it's only on for another 2 or 3 days, to be honest. So if you want a print, you must be quick. But yeah, thank you so much for the support, guys. Really felt the love recently, and it's just, I think I'm going to start doing 2 videos a week. Well, I love being out making the videos anyway, but I don't know, we'll see. Thanks a lot, much appreciated. I really hope you enjoyed today's adventure, and I shall see you next week on the next adventure. Out.